Welcome to the Ringer NFL show. I'm your host, Sheil Kapadia. We had a coach firing on Monday, the New York Giants ending the Brian Daboll era, but they are sticking with GM Joe Schoen. So much to address here. Is this an appealing job? What kind of coach should they be looking for? Are we sure that Joe Schoen should be leading the search? To talk about it all, we've got the Ringer's resident Giants fan and expert. We can call him an expert, Danny Heifetz. I came up with a list of 5 potential Giants head coaches. Didn't tell Heifetz before the pod, sprung them on him, and he was absolutely appalled by one of them. He had his own ideas there. So I didn't think my picks were that bad, but you can tell me what you think. So we'll get to all of it. Let's take a break. We come right back with Danny Heifetz. This is the Ringer NFL show presented by FanDuel, the best place to bet the NFL all season long. FanDuel's got it all. Same game parlays, quick bets for jumping in live, and your way so you can build the bet that fits your play. And Missouri, get excited because FanDuel's coming your way December 1st. Download the FanDuel.com/Ringer NFL to get started. Must be 21 plus and present in select states and 18 plus in DC, Kentucky, and Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. We are back on the Ringer NFL show, my friend. Danny Heifetz is here. I don't mean to only call you when something happens with the Giants, Heifetz, but the people want to know, how are you feeling today? Brian Daboll out, but I don't want to just know about that. Joe Schoen remains the GM of the Giants. What have your emotions been on this festive day for some?
Festive? It's bad, Sheil. The Giants are 2-8 for the third straight year. I believe the Giants and the Jets both have the worst record in the last 10 years. In the last 5 years, the Giants are out of the playoffs for basically the 10th time before Thanksgiving in the last 11 years. But it's fine. Yeah, no, it's cool. Just call me whenever the Giants suck. I get it. It's fine. You don't mean to do it. It just happens to happen all the time. It's fine.
It just happens to happen. They've had a newsy season. Here's where I'm at, Heifetz. I can't believe they're screwing this up again. They fire Brian Daboll, but then the immediate news comes out that they're going to keep Joe Schoen to help hire their next head coach. I don't understand how they can be this stupid. I mean, there is no clearer example of a team needing to just make a clean break, and they're not doing it. It's like they are a puppy lost in the wilderness. They are 20-40-1 under Joe Schoen. A couple of their best players on the team were there before he got there. What is he responsible for? Hitting on a couple top 5, top 10 picks. They screwed up the Daniel Jones contract. They screwed up the Saquon Barkley contract. Why on earth would I want this guy directing my head coaching search? That was my immediate reaction, honestly.
So I will quibble with some of the things you said in the middle about the specifics, but bookend, I agree with you in that Daboll and Schoen came together from Buffalo. Like, they're guys, they're boys, and you brought them in together because the idea that, generally speaking, you need a great GM head coach partnership to be able to work. And if you get Les Snead with Sean McVay, cool. But in reality, most of the time, unless you get a Shanahan-Lynch situation, it's hard for a coach and a GM to come together and work together. Dan Dugan at The Athletic noted that the Giants have done this like 2 or 3 other times. So they fired the coach, kept the GM, and the GM never lasts more than 2 years. It's usually just kind of a bad way to get into the next era. So I agree in the net where you probably should clean house. I also it's hard for me to just advocate for cleaning house all the time because it's the easiest thing to say fire people, but then you're just a team that keeps firing people, and that's also bad. We can get into some of the specifics with Schoen if you want, or talk Daboll, whatever. But I see. I'm not going to sit here and argue it's a great idea to keep Schoen, but you don't want to become the Cleveland Browns.
Listen, it's one of my coaching rules, though, Heifetz, is that when you hire a coach who is tied to the GM, you sit them down together in a room, and you say, if one of you succeeds, you're both going to succeed. If one of you fails, you both fails, because then you avoid all the backstabbing and no, it's his fault. No, the roster's good. No, the roster's not good. No, Daniel Jones, look at what he's doing there. This coach, you avoid all that stuff. And they didn't avoid that because they might have been boys before, but you saw the headlines. You saw the rumor start circulating last week that it was like, wait a minute, there are reports surfacing here that maybe not both of them will be gone here. I just don't know why. Explain to me why I should have any confidence that Joe Schoen, after this 4-year run, is the right man to help find a new head coach who can lead them into a winning era.
I don't think it's that complicated to see why you would keep Schoen and get rid of Daboll. You can disagree with it. So just to go through individual moves, the Giants have whiffed in a bunch of stuff. Deontay Banks is like maybe the worst cornerback in the NFL that plays. Every time he's on the field, something goes wrong. There was a first-round pick. Kayvon Thibodeau's been underwhelming as a first-round pick. Evan Neal was a disaster as a first-round pick. They swapped Julian Love at safety out to Seattle, and they drafted Tyler Nubin. He has been very good. It goes on and on and on. They just can't really fix problems. The offensive line has had Andrew Thomas, who was a Dave Gettleman draft pick at left tackle, and 4 guys that weren't that good for about 5 years now. The secondary, the cornerbacks haven't been fixed in about 5 years. The safety's been a revolving door. You let Xavier McKinney leave again. They let a lot of talent go. The big one obviously being Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. I actually don't think those are Joe Schoen's fault, really, at all. I don't put either Saquon or Daniel Jones on Joe Schoen. I don't know which of those you're more interested in, but I don't think Saquon or Daniel Jones are that big.
So who is Jones on? Ownership wanted him?
Yeah, I think that's really simple. Do you remember that part on Hard Knocks where Joe Schoen's kids were talking about which quarterback they wanted to replace Daniel Jones with?
How could you forget that? Iconic.
Do you think that Joe Schoen was coming home from work every day saying, I love Daniel Jones so much, I just wish we could keep him, gosh darn it, and his kids were like, nah. No, Joe Schoen was probably coming home from work every day talking about this freaking Daniel Jones guy sucks. I want Drake May. He's awesome. I want Jaden Daniels. He's awesome. I'll take J.J. McCarthy. He's awesome. And his kids all picked different ones, wanted to replace him. Chris Mara, who is John Mara's, the Giants, there's 2 families still in the Giants, Mara's and the Tisches. John Mara is the president. His brother, Chris Mara, is in the scouting department. That's why the Giants have been bad so long. Is Chris Mara, who is like an owner scout running the department thing, is Joe Schoen's boss. They're not going to tell you it is, but Chris Mara was in the job interview when Joe Schoen interviewed for the job. So if someone's in your job interview, interviewing you, and they own the company, do you think they're your boss? I do. So anyway, I think Joe Schoen didn't want Daniel Jones. They made the playoffs. In the Buffalo years, when they made the playoffs that first year, they blew the whole thing up anyway. I think Joe Schoen wanted to get rid of Daniel Jones, or at least, they should have done the 5th-year option. But anyway, the ownership who scouted him wanted to keep Daniel Jones because he kind of looks like Eli Manning if you squint. So they kept him. And then that's why they didn't fire Joe Schoen last year, because they can't fire the GM who told them not to sign the guy that they cut. That's the Daniel Jones thing. And that's my hypothesis. I feel that I'm right. The Saquon Barkley thing, people like you, nerd podcasters like you, if the Giants, what would have happened, Sheil? What would you have said on this very
NFL
NFL
is
show?
more explainable.
If the Giants signed Saquon and won 5 games last year, you would have been like, this is why you don't pay running backs, idiot. How many times do I have to tell you? God, I'm so mad at you.
No, I wouldn't have, gone on national TV where the owner tells me that, if you do this, if he signs with the Eagles, I'm going to be very upset.
That was also the owner's fault. Why just sign up to be the first one through the door on that freaking show? How did they put them in that situation?
Heifetz, because there's nothing worse as a sports fan than when you think the reason you're losing is because of bad ownership. And, you paint a very interesting picture, and I know there's been reporting on this. So that paints a very troubling picture for whether they're going to be able to pave a path forward here towards success, because since the Tom Coughlin thing, you know it better than I do. They have done this over and over again. And to your point, they've been bad now for a decade. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a break, and then I'm going to come back, and I'm going to give you a list of 5 potential head coaching candidates for the Giants. And you're going to give me a yes, a no, or a maybe. And I really try to get in the head of Giants ownership and think, who would they be looking at here? So let's take a break. We come back. I want to do that. This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like needing the protection of an offensive guard on the football field, but getting an elementary school crossing guard. Sure, they're both guards, but you can only trust one to keep your quarterback safe when the game is on the line. So don't settle for just any insurance when there's State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. All right, we're back on the Ringer NFL show. Now, listen, I just want to prepare you. This is a mix of realistic content all over the place with this. So I'm going to go 5-1, and each one I'm going to give you the case, and I want a yes, a no, or a maybe.
Is this what I think will happen, or what I would do?
No, this is what if you were on your Giants group chats and this guy was in the news and they said they might hire this guy, would you be advocating for them, or would you be going, no way, anyone but this guy? The first one, this is coming. Bill Belichick. He's going to be stumping for this job big time. It feels like maybe his only last chance to get in the NFL. The Giants could sell it. Listen, that college, it's the wild, wild west out there with the NIL and the transfer portal. Bill Belichick is an NFL guy. He's still the same guy who coached the Patriots. This is going to work. This is the closing chapter on his storied career. He comes back to New York. He coaches the New York Giants, gets us back on the right path. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you said you want a coach and a GM to come together. So Belichick's the coach, Jordan Hudson's the GM, and then they get to run the team together.
Lombardi has a weekly spot on WFAN, I would imagine. Okay.
No, I'm kidding, obviously. No,
okay.
no.
How would you actually feel? No.
Even a year ago, I was pretty in on Belichick. I think the most cynical views of it were obviously correct. So no, I mean, obviously he's too old. It's just clearly he doesn't have he can't stay awake long enough to do it anymore.
Okay, we got a no on Bill Belichick. All right, number 4 on my list, Cliff Kingsbury. Okay, so they'll say, you know what? He showed he can build a system around a young dual threat quarterback in Jaden Daniels, young guy where if it works out, hey, this guy could be a coach for a very long time in New York. You win a little bit. Everybody's excited. Handsome guy, good looking. He would be the toast in New York. Cliff Kingsbury is mentioned as a Giants head coaching candidate. Yes, no, or maybe from Heifetz.
Maybe. I think Cliff Kingsbury is the best quarterback talent evaluator ever. And it's kind of, and I think,
really?
I think that
Why?
Because I mean, he's just connected to like every quarterback in the NFL. I think that he's so good at evaluating talent that he's actually become like a coach. And I think it's kind of like how John Calipari is really just the best agent, but he's good enough at being an agent that he promoted himself to being a coach. So he's like, John Calipari is a bad coach because he's such a good agent. I think Kingsbury was an overqualified evaluator that became an underqualified head coach. I also think he's learned a lot in this Washington perspective. I think you have to talk to Cliff Kingsbury. I don't know if I want to hire him, but it would be silly to not talk to Cliff Kingsbury. I see where you're going with this, but by the way, all the offensive guys that are smart, if you don't talk to him, you're stupid.
Okay. Cliff Kingsbury. Talk to him. It is a weird pool of candidates.
He's got that gravelly voice too. Cliff Kingsbury. It's like a really nice voice.
It might play well. Yeah. All right. Number 3. This one I could really see. Heifetz. Steve Spagnuolo.
I think. Okay. Sorry. Make the case.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. You're excited.
Spagnuolo. I think Spagnuolo is the epitome of a defensive coordinator that it's age bias. If Spagnuolo was 44, everyone would be tripping over themselves to hire Steve Spagnuolo. And one of the reasons the Chiefs dynasty has lingered, to me, the most underrated reason the Chiefs became a dynasty is because when they tried to kick the bucket on or kick the can down the road and trading Tyreek Hill for picks, Steve Spagnuolo developed all the defensive picks they made in a 3-year period and made all of the defensive picks contribute to the defense with a mix of bespoke schemes to every round of the playoffs. He's done such a good job. He happens to be in his mid-60s, so no one wants to hire him. People are like, oh, he was bad with the Rams. That was 15 years ago. How Mike McDonald's a great coach for the Seahawks. Was he in college 15 years ago? Like these guys, like we have Sean McVay was like literally an undergrad when Steve Spagnuolo was running the Rams. So I think he's a great candidate. I don't want to hire him because I want an offensive coach. But if the Giants had even not found Jackson Dart yet, I would hire Spagnuolo.
I think here's the sell job from the Giants, because you know how NFL owners work. When you have someone who fails in a very specific way, they go the opposite way. It's like dating. You have one person who has specific traits and it doesn't work out. And the next person you date, it's the complete opposite of that. That's how NFL owners operate. And I feel like with Spags, they would just be like, Daboll was a hothead and, he clashed with assistant coaches. Now he got Spags back. He's buttering up the media. He still knows everybody from his time in New York. He just seems like a genuinely nice guy who everyone likes. Like he'll get there in the interview and the owners will be like, hey, we kind of like this guy. They'll take him back to the glory years when the Giants were winning Super Bowls and how were they doing it with that pass rush? They say, we've invested so much in this pass rush. This defensive line was supposed to be awesome. Why aren't we getting the most out of them? Hey, Spags can do that. And Spags knows Andy Reid and Spags knows different offensive coaches in the NFL. He can come in and say, here's the coordinator that Andy Reid told me is going to be the next big thing and has a lot of great ideas. So I'm coming to you with this list of coordinators. Hire me. It's going to work.
They should interview Spags. And he's, to me, he's a B-level candidate. I would hire him over other people.
Okay. This next one, I'm interested to hear what you say. Kevin Stefanski. I think as I was going through the coaches who could potentially be fired, he is the one that I think is most likely to get a job right away. You know, he could come in, two-time coach of the year, smart offensive mind. He's just been stuck with that bad Deshaun Watson trade and bad talent in Cleveland. But man, this is a guy, his second stop, he's going to be an excellent head coach if he's got the right infrastructure around him.
I mean, definitely. Like, yeah, if Kevin Stefanski was fired, if he's able to make the Browns suck, the Browns ownership and everything there, if you think the Giants ownership's annoying, like, yeah, Kevin Stefanski, if he got fired, yeah, absolutely. That's an easy one. I would totally take Stefanski. Although there's two other people you're not mentioning that I actually think are really realistic.
All right, well, here's my number one, and then you tell me who I missed. This is a guy I could just see. I could just see him being the toast of New York, and that's Marcus Freeman from Notre Dame.
No,
I could just see
No college
coach.
No. What are you talking
Why?
about? Come on, you're baiting me. What are you talking about?
No, why?
I love Marcus Freeman. I have friends here who love Notre Dame, go to Notre Dame alumni. My college wasn't a huge football school, so it's fun to vicariously live through him. I don't want to. Marcus Freeman's talent, incredibly good looking man who has
that can't be understated.
Great charisma. He's great in a living room. But like, I have seen Notre Dame have 10 people on their defense in their goal line package 3 weeks in the 1 month. They couldn't get 11 people on the field at goal line 3 different times in a month.
Okay.
So like, no, not even a little. Like that's a news cycle for Stephen A. Smith, and you're above that, and I'm actually a little mad at you.
I disagree. He's the one, when I was writing down names.
What the fuck is he going to bring? Jackson Dart? I need Jackson Dart to be good. I need The only thing I care about is Jackson Dart to be good, and you're bringing me a defensive coach from Notre Dame who sucks, and by the way, are they even ranked?
Well, I don't know what they're doing this year. Last year, they're
not playing well. They started. Right. I'm so mad.
Listen, everybody has a bad year now and then. I think they would look at him and say CEO type head coach. Like, I mean, you can't get over the handsome thing.
CEO.
A scenario where he's your guy for 10 years, face of your franchise after an era of embarrassment, would play great in New York, would be good.
Zero
with the media.
Chance.
Wait, so you're
doing this narratively. Give me some. What's his offensive plan? We hire Marcus Freeman. Cool. I need a coordinator. He's like, I know guys in college. You missed the biggest name.
Okay.
It's Kubiak from the Seahawks.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
He's the only part of this Shanahan McVay tree that I'm like, that guy's the last one left. He's the last apple that hasn't been picked off this tree. He crushed it in New Orleans last year when Carr was healthy. We thought it was like flash. Well, big four.
Everyone 2 weeks. Wow. Those 2 weeks.
And
I've never seen a guy live off of 2 weeks more than Clint Kubiak.
Me too. I thought the same thing. And then guess what? He goes to Seattle, and guess what?
A great job.
What is this? The Austin Gale had this stat. He showed me yesterday where the first 10 weeks of his season, if you just look at passing on first and second down, 1/5 of Darnold's early down passes have gone 20 plus yards.
Explosives. Yeah.
Second is 2004 Peyton Manning when he set the touchdown record. If you cross-reference that with 10 yards per attempt and 1/5 of them explosive, it's just Darnold, Peyton Manning 04, and Kurt Warner 2000 Rams. Kubiak, clearly, this is with an offensive line that was unplayable last year. If you talk about the most basic coaching thing of all, which is, can you make the whole greater than the sum of the parts? What coordinator on any side of the ball has done a better job taking the sum of the parts and creating a greater whole than with what we saw from the Seahawks last year and this year? And they got rid of DK Metcalf with Sam Darnold. I'm like, I want Kubiak with Jackson Dart.
Okay. He's done a great job. It's a 9-week sample we're talking about here. Let's see, or a 10-week sample. Well, let's see how we're feeling 2 months from now, whether, you think that's sustainable. It's not like he has a long body of work. that we can call on. I would be concerned with him. The coordinator job different than the head coaching job. I don't know enough about him to know whether he would be good with that, but I understand that. So you want number one priority, get me and a coach who can maximize my quarterback and my offense. I'll figure everything else out.
Second and third, and I'll throw another name out that I think will be discussed privately.
Okay. Yes.
I think the Giants will consider sending a very high draft pick to the Broncos for Sean Payton.
Sean Payton?
Sean Payton.
Because I have other trades for you.
I think Sean Payton in Denver, there's a lot going on there beneath the hood, and there's more than meets the eye in that situation, and I think there's a chance that even if Denver makes the playoffs, that Sean Payton is available.
Does this have to do with Sean Payton thinking maybe Bo Nix isn't the guy I thought he was, or there's more to it than that?
There's multiple things.
Speculating. Multiple things. Ooh, I like this. Heifetz just,
but it's also
coming in.
I think the Broncos have stuff going on there, but the Giants, it's like the Bill Parcells. The Giants, they've just been chasing Parcells.
That would be a no-brainer.
Sean Payton's the last Parcells guy left. He's the last guy of that breed. The ownership will love that. And also, he should be the guy to develop Jackson Dart. He would be good at it.
Okay, the Broncos traded a first and a second for Sean Payton and a third. So you're doing that without hesitation, I assume.
I'd see if we could just get a first. But we think about it because the 2020, it's a high pick this year, but the 2027 draft is good. So I would consider sending, if they could take a first and a second in 2028 and make, which I know is far away, but I don't know. You can figure out the exact comp, but I don't want to give up a first in 2027, but I would trade. I think picks for coaches is honestly, it should be done more.
Okay, I agree. So I had two other trades for you. Now, one of them I don't think you're going to want to do based on what you've said so far. Any interest in Mike Tomlin as a head coach?
Yeah, I would.
For the Giants? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I would like him to have a little willingness to do anything different defensively, but beggars can't be choosers, man.
Comes there, brings some stability.
The Giants' defensive talent with Tomlin is crazy. I want his list of offensive coordinators. I almost think it's an Eagles situation where maybe Tomlin's not allowed to hire the offensive coordinator.
Yeah. Hired for him. Okay. And the other guy, and I feel like maybe we've talked about this casually before, but if this season doesn't go the way the 49ers want it to go, at some point, there's going to be an end of the road for Kyle Shanahan there, right? Where it's going to be all right, maybe San Francisco was his Philadelphia for Andy Reid, and everyone knows he's a great coach, but it's just, there's been too much there. It's time to move on. What kind of package would you be willing to send to the San Francisco 49ers for Kyle Shanahan?
Me, Danny Heifetz, if it was actually,
you, they call you. Merrick calls you up, says, man, I've been struggling for a decade. I heard your comments about Sean Payton. That made me call. But how about Shanahan?
If it had to be done, and obviously you have to get a longer contract, I would trade 3 first-round picks for Kyle Shanahan.
3?
Yeah.
Including?
No question.
2026, which looks like it's going to be a top 5 pick right
I don't give a shit.
3 for,
I don't. People talk about picks like it's a player.
Yeah.
We have a quarterback. So it's a non-quarterback we're going to take. Who cares? It's Kyle Shanahan. This man's been to, what's the number? 5 NFC Championship games in the last 10 years? Giants haven't been any.
No, they haven't. He's either in the NFC Championship or he's out of the playoffs every
Draft
year.
Picks are both the lifeblood of teams. Teams that rise and fall are just the stories of teams that hit their draft picks or not. Teams that have coaches and quarterbacks that either hit their draft picks or don't. And when you hit them, you're good. And when you don't, you're the Cowboys or the Bengals. But until you have the coach quarterback, it doesn't matter. I want Kyle Shanahan. I would actually give 3 first-round picks for Kyle Shanahan.
Amazing. All right, maybe we can make that happen. All right, let's finish with this, Heifetz. Is this an appealing job? Make the case. Because I don't think, I was going through, I actually don't think there's going to be a lot of head coach openings.
100%.
I've got Titans, I've got Giants, I think Browns, and I think Raiders. And then if you want to talk me into a team like the Dolphins, I don't think there's going to be 8. There's always a surprise. I think there's going to be fewer than 5. So make the case why the Giants would be the most appealing of those.
Jackson Dart, Cam Scadaboo, Malik Neighbors, Andrew Thomas at left tackle, Dexter Lawrence at defensive tackle, Brian Burns at defensive end, Abdul Carter at defensive end, Kayvon Thibodeau if they re-sign him at pass rusher, Drew Phillips at cornerback. All those people are 27 years old or younger.
So why do they lose so many games if they've got so much talent?
Because they have bad coaching. Okay. And they need they need 4 more offensive linemen and a cornerback. Every team needs cornerbacks. So you need to get there, get better trenches. But the talent, it's the good job for the Giants. None of these openings have been good for the Giants. This is a great team. This is a great roster.
Okay. A great roster. Okay.
By the standard of teams that are going to be a top 5 pick and firing, yeah, you want this team or the Saints?
That's true. I am looking at the other teams. Better roster than the Browns, better roster than the Titans, better roster than the Raiders. So that's
Jackson Dart looks better than Cam Ward straight up. You have a quarterback and a defensive line.
If you can keep him away from the blue 10, which Brian Daboll could not do.
Well, I think Brian Daboll, we didn't get into any of the Daboll stuff. I think Brian Daboll was one of the reasons he went to the blue 10 so much.
Yeah. And then Brian Daboll was going into the blue 10 himself, which was not a great look to get him out of there. All right. So we will see. The Giants, listen, the bar is low for the Giants. Like you said, only the Jets have won fewer games over the last 10 years. So if you make the playoffs with the Giants, like everybody's going to be so excited about this football team. Like you said, they might have a quarterback. They've got some talent at premium positions, wide receiver 1, left tackle, defensive tackle, edge. They probably have right now they're picking 3rd overall in this draft. If they don't have to trade for a coach, they keep that pick. Maybe they're in a good spot. All right, so you're feeling good. You feel like there's a possibility of a brighter future.
I never said I'm feeling good, but I would like a better. Who said that? I feel good about Dart, but like he's hurt. I would like to feel good. I will feel better when we hire a good coach who can help Jackson Dart.
All right, let's see what happens with the Giants head coaching search. His name is Danny Heifetz. You know where to find him. The Ringer Fantasy Show, the Ringer Gambling Show, just does 700 things at the Ringer. You will have no trouble finding him. Heifetz, thank you for joining me. I will be right back with the Hurry Up. The Hurry Up is our segment where I give you a take on news in the NFL. And we had one of the weirdest games of the season on Monday night, a 10-7 Eagles win over the Packers. I don't think either team comes away from that game feeling great. They can feel great about their defensive performances, and there was some legit good defense in that game. But for two teams that are supposed to be contenders in the NFC, they have a lot to figure out offensively. For the Packers, this isn't a one-game thing. I mean, they've scored 20 points in their last 2 games. They've scored 2 touchdowns on their last 17 possessions. And you look around at the supporting cast without Tucker Kraft and now the offensive line injuries, it's hard to come up with, like, what are the answers going to be here for Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love? Then you go to the Eagles. This was their worst offensive performance by success rate of the Hurts-Sirianni era when you look at every regular season game. I mean, they had a bye last week. This was coming out of the bye. That's what it looked like. That's hard to believe. So you wouldn't even know A.J. Brown was on this football team if you watch that game. So that still continues to be an issue. So right now, Eagles are 7-2. They're the 1 seed. Packers drop all the way down to the 7 seed now with these back-to-back losses against the Panthers and the Eagles. So there's just so much to sort out in the weeks ahead for these contenders, but they're also in very different positions. The Eagles have a little, margin for error here with being 7-2. The Packers kind of don't have that same margin for error, so they've got to figure out some solutions really quickly. We'll talk more about the NFC later this week, but just wanted to give a quick take on that Monday night game. All right, thanks to Danny Heifetz. Thank you to Isaiah Blakely for producing this episode, Kiera Givens on social, and additional production supervision by Connor Nevins and Arjuna Ramgopowell. I'm Sheil Kapadia. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Ringer NFL Show. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.